the Free Energy Special Interest Group, where science meets spirituality in the quest for truth and knowledge to free humanity and transform this planet into a paradise.
Hi, everyone. Hi, this is Crystal. I'm the founder of Physic, and we have been running for 9 years now. This is a platform, Physic, the Free Energy Special Interest Group, is a platform where science meets spirit. And we encourage, this is the purpose of encouraging scientists, researchers, technologies, developers of free energy to go within, to look within and work with the spirit in order to solve the final equation. Otherwise, we won't get anywhere if the two are separate. So this is my mission here. And all my brothers and sisters here at Physic believe that that is the case. And it's very important that the two meet somewhere. Okay, so without judgment, we bring some of the most brilliant speakers to speak at Physic once a month, every first Wednesday of the month. We have disclaimers here, and I urge everyone to be open-minded and not being judgmental, because knowledge is power, okay? We take the best and throw the rest, all right? As I've always said, that is kind of like my byline. Okay, so I'm going to share screen now, so you can see my PowerPoint presentation. Yeah, and this is Physic, the Free Energy Special Interest Group. Go to our website, truevisionpeace.com/physic.html, and you will see what's going on, who is speaking, and the background of our speakers. And you can go to our video channels and catch up with what you missed in, you've missed in the past. Okay. Now, today's, okay, I'm going to do this very quickly because time of the essence. Everyone, this is repeating every meeting because every video is a standalone. Okay, so today's session is Carrie Cassidy. It's a forum conversation. Okay, we have 3 speakers here, actually 4, because we have Patty Prasad jumping in case Sebastian won't make it. So Carrie Cassidy speaking just now earlier with Sean Charles Moyen, and I've just introduced the 3 of them in the first session. So mind you folks, the first session and 2 sessions are together. The second session is continuing, okay? So please watch them together, all right? And then Sebastian Martin as well. I've read all their bios, and in the first session, Sebastian hadn't had a chance to speak yet. Sean Charles and Carrie did. So we will start with Sebastian taking over the microphone after I've introduced him in the first session. I just want to say the next meeting I will be in the Far East. So the next meeting, the first Wednesday of November, no, sorry, today's November, of December. On the 3rd of December, the time will change. Instead of 6:30 British time, it will be 1:30 London, UK time. And you can check with you can freeze frame and see the time zone chart, okay? And the 7th of January, our 144th meeting will also be at 1:30 GMT, folks. But go to our website because everything will be announced there thoroughly, okay? And then the 145th meeting in February, where David Griffiths will be speaking, possibly with James Gilliland. He wants to join this meeting, but it's a bit late to accommodate him. And then we will have him in February, maybe speaking with David Griffin. Okay, so get in touch with me, Crystal at True Vision of Peace, if you think someone important ought to speak here with the best disclosure information. Here I am. Okay, Crystal at truevisionofpeace.com, and go to all our channels. Right, thank you. So, right away, I'm going to pass the microphone to Sebastian Martin. Go on then.
Thank you, Crystal. So I just was explaining before the second video that Kerry Cassidy gave me my first video opportunity to express myself and share my story back in 2016, I believe. It could have been later than that. Either way, it was around that time, and we did like a 2-hour interview. And at the time, I was pretty much of a newbie. I was trying to experience everything, and I was trying to share the message, which was what was given to me back in 2011, which was about awaken the star seeds of this planet, without manual, without directions, pretty much, just do your thing and do your best. So back in 2011, when I had an encounter with a Pleiadian being who ended up to be my younger star brother from the Pleiades, Zor, he basically was very excited to see me. I didn't know why. Basically ended up to be meeting my entire Pleiadian family. And the message was very clear from them saying, well, now you're awake. You should therefore awaken the star seeds of this planet. And so at the time, because I didn't know what to do with it, I ignored it for years. And I had a business to run. I had, lots of employees, and I was just too busy working my business. And this was so new to me that I decided to just ignore it and put it aside until it came back to me. And then I basically had more and more experiences that led me to go to Mount Shasta, go to have more regression work, quantum touch healing work, and so on and so on. So that led me to start talking about it on the radio, because the message that was about awakening the star seeds was still very present, but I just didn't know how. I didn't know what to do. I was not like a front man trying to do interviews on the radio. So back in 2016, when I decided to talk about it publicly, I was basically telling, at the time I was already doing some radio shows, from Canada, nothing major. But at some point, because I was still the chairman of the board of the company I started, and after selling it and getting some shareholders and partners, I had to make a very, very quick decision. Was either to keep ignoring it and dedicating my life to the business line, or trying to resign as chairman of the board and dedicate the rest of my life to spread that message, which is what I did. So I basically resigned from chairman of the board of Wetherspoon, the company I started, and I started talking publicly about my experiences. And I started publicly with Kerry Cassidy in the US. We did a 2-hour interview together. And what she may recall from our time together is right after the interview during that UFO conference, I'm a cigar smoker, and I was outside with some other attendees. And then I went inside to watch one of the presenters at the conference. So I was inside, and then I was called back outside because something happened. And what happened then, which was kind of the start of my whole weird experience with the SSP, Men in Black, you name it, and remote viewing, was the 3 Men in Black showed up on site. And in broad daylight, they showed up in a van, and 2 of them came out. One of them walked straight to the table where my cigar was still there. And he grabbed it and then put it in a Ziploc bag and started walking away. And so there were a few attendees that were there, Sandra and Michelle. And Sandra was trying to hold the guy's arm for saying, "What do you think you are doing?" And the guy turned around, grabbed her arm, and said, "You are coming with us." And so Michelle just intervened, her other friend, and started to push back. And the guy basically was startled and looked around and then decided to leave the scene, still with the cigar in his hand, though. So they left the scene, all 3 of them, in their vans, and then left the scene. So there were lots of witnesses who basically confirmed what just happened. I just met Sandra and Michelle at the site, so I didn't know very well, or know them very well. But it seemed that it was confirmed. And so we finalized the interview with Kerry. I went back home to Canada, and then a week later, almost day for day, it was in the winter time, and I remember I had a dream. So it felt like an out of body experience at the time. So I basically came out of my body, going through the hallway, and as is, there was nothing changed in the dream or out of body experience. And I was looking through the front door, and there was a white van with two men inside, and I could see them through the windshield. And the passenger looked like he almost had a wig on, so he didn't look quite human. And for some reason, they both looked at me straight through the glass front door, and they looked at me. And it was just an out of body experience. And then the van just backtracked and left. So very curiously, in the morning, I woke up and I decided to go outside, and I could see some tracks on the snow, which could have been left from my employees. I used to have a farm as well, so some employees could have driven in front of my house and on the same property I used to run the farm from. And so I decided to go further down the field, and there was a driveway that used to go deep down into the area that was always very icy. So I always prevented the employees to drive down that path. And then sure enough, there were some tracks going all the way down in that fresh snow that we just had. So obviously the truck went down that way as well. The same day, my neighbor contacted me and asked me if I was all right. I said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, my security camera outside my home spotted a van at 3 o'clock in the morning driving onto your property. And they left 45 minutes later. And so he couldn't see anything else. He could just see going in and out. And what was striking to him was there was no license plate on the vehicle and no markings. So again, whatever I saw as an out-of-body experience just happened in reality. But I don't know what they were doing. All I know is that they were definitely probably like the following group of Men in Black that showed up on my property at the time. I didn't know exactly what they were doing. I assumed that this was to do with more basically just collecting my DNA or doing some more tests on me based on the cigar sample that they got from the conference. So that was the starting point. And then Kerry released the video online, and I got way more popularity at the time. So people trying to contact me on Facebook. And at the time, I used to accept all random requests and without screening anyone. And in those days, you used to have like up to 10,000 people, not just 5. So I basically just accepted everybody, and some people started like contacting me, and we just chatted away. And then one night, I basically had an actual dream of someone who was on my Facebook page, and that person was the CIA personnel that contacted me on Facebook, trying to follow me on Facebook, along with my social media, and without telling me who she was. Obviously, she never contacted me, nothing, but I knew exactly who she was. And I witnessed an event where I could see her in the back of a vehicle, and she was leaving a scene, which I believe was in Iraq, and she was being taken away incognito while 3 men walked in a crowd outside, and she could see that with her own eyes. And I was looking at it through her own eyes. And so she was observing those 3 men walking against the crowd. It was a very busy place. The car was driving very slowly. And so I knew that her life was being in danger. And so I knew she was CIA. I knew she was in a safe house, and that she had to leave the country, otherwise she would have been caught. And those guys were working for the Iraqi government. And again, because the Iraqi government had some very strange relationship with the US at the time during Reconstruction, they were still trying to protect their own security for the country. And so she was leaving, and then I didn't hear back. I just contacted her saying, "I know what you do, your life is in danger." And I described the scene that I saw as what I basically, as a vision. I just shared what I saw. And I didn't hear back for like 4 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks. I can't remember how long exactly, but around that time. And then I just received a random picture of a man, and with a question saying, "Is that the man that you saw?" And I said, yes, that's exactly the man I saw. He was wearing different clothes, but that's pretty much what I did. And then so slowly but surely, she started to, she was curious. And what I discovered was after a while, not right away, but after a while, I discovered that they were following me because I became a person of interest. Because when I went on Kerry Cassidy's show, I discussed an event which was viewing the assassination of the ex-Prime Minister of Lebanon, Rafik Hariri, who died many years prior to what I saw. But what I saw was details of his death and details of people looking at him through rooftops and everything else. And the CIA knew about this, and they were wondering how I knew these details. So that's the reason why I became a person of interest. And so they started following me and finding out exactly how I got my information. If I was in touch with someone else sensitively, they were basically just checking me out. And so as time went by, I decided to, wait and see what was going on. And then so that person started sending me some newspaper articles and saying randomly, said, "What do you see from this newspaper article?" And so I was saying, "Well, I see something very differently." And as I was reading the article, I could visualize and see the events of what truly happened to these people involved, which were completely different from what was written up. And so after a while, she was telling me, "So, oh, I think what you're doing is remote viewing." And I said, "What's remote viewing?" Because I was not trained through the official channels to do remote viewing. I was inherently, intuitively doing what I do. And so that was quite something. And so she kind of gave me a few, few guidance to basically channel, or do my remote viewing in a much better way, more structured way, and which was not what you learn from the control remote viewing or from the Monroe Institute or anything else. I was trained in a different way, and now I'm teaching that to people through my workshops. So I've been very successful at doing that lately. I conducted 2 workshops, one on remote viewing and one on Starseeds Awakening, basically. And that was quite amazing. Like everybody left believing that they had an amazing experience and they felt like it was transformational. So I will actually go back to that more afterwards. But so I kept doing this remote viewing training, let's say, or being tested on for a while. And then eventually I started like picking up on more stuff. As I was communicating with that person all the time, you can call her my handler, let's say. I don't like the term, but we became very close. We started like working with one another on different types of assignments, and all the stuff that I was doing at the time was basically just for fun. I was not being paid. I was just being tested. So, and for me, I like the challenge. I like doing the work with her, and so I ended up started to pick up on more sensitive stuff that person from CIA was connected to. And so I got involved in very sensitive missions without security clearance, without being paid. I was able to actually connect onto something very sensitive that they could not extract me from because I was seeing it and I was becoming useful. And what I really enjoy about that interaction at the time was that everything was validated. So whatever I was seeing, whatever I was, for example, about these 2 women who died in Jordan, they were basically just pushed from the top of a building, and they both died, and they were sisters. And I just realized that there were 2 soldiers that were involved in a murder, and they pushed them off the rooftop. And then the one soldier left from the back of the building in construction, and the other one left from the front of the building. And the response from that person was, "Well, we knew of 1 soldier, but not 2." So again, that was the validation that I was like seeking, which gave me more assurance to be able to do the work, and basically just pursuing what I was doing, knowing that I was on the right track, and I got more confident, and I wasn't questioning my ability to do remote viewing in the way I was doing remote viewing. So it did not really work like those people who basically get a target, coordinates, and doing like a double-blind remote viewing session. I was doing things that became more live, and unlike control remote viewers, what I was doing was seeing a mini movie, and often through the eyes of someone else or directly as an external being present in the room. I was able to see some things. So it was very different depending on the situation. So, for example, when the CIA agent was involved in certain missions, I was able to see the events through her eyes, and I was able to save her life 3 times during those years. So we became very close. She basically owed her life to me, and she basically gave me more assignments, and then I did end up being paid, not in a standard way, I would say, but in a different way, because what I ended up to realize is, CIA, SSP, they all are very much compartmentalized. So some of the agents working even within CIA could be in charge of programs that are not necessarily reported to the director of the CIA. Same with the SSP. SSP is super controlled, but it's also very much compartmentalized, and yeah, you have different factions. You have the rogue factions of the SSP, which I could consider to be called Kruger. And again, I had a direct experience with that myself. I can relate to this. I can talk about this very well. I was actually assigned at some point in time to do a remote viewing session on a Stargate, the Stargate that was stolen from the Summer Palace of Saddam Hussein. During the Iraqi wars, during the Second Gulf War. And so I was involved in that after the facts. So the Stargate got removed, extracted from Iraq, and eventually ended up in Eastern Europe. And so my mission was to find out where was the Stargate. And when I did that, this was my first contact with a white Draco reptilian. I heard many times over about psionic attacks from Laura Eisenhower, for example. And, I talked to her face to face. And when she was sharing her own attacks, I thought, well, I can't relate to it because I never experienced one. I don't know what that means. And so I'm sure Kerry knows about this too. But for me, it was new. And I never suffered from such attacks. So it was a big question mark for me. And so when I saw that Draco reptilian in a room in front of the Stargate, I was able to capture the details of the actual Stargate and what was missing from it, where it was located. I ended up talking about this on Gaia TV. That was one of the episodes I covered on that. And right after this event, so the same night after this session, and what you have to realize is at that time, I was already working with other remote viewers focusing on the same target. So we were all assigned the same task. And so they were basically gathering the information from all of these people and then making an assessment from that. So when I was doing this assignment and I was looking at the Stargate, I was shocked to see this Draco reptilian. I was not expecting him. And right away, he looked at me as well. So that's when I stopped the session because I felt that I was being spied upon, even if I was the one spying on the Stargate in the first place. So I stopped the session, and the same night, I got attacked by the Draco reptilian, and I knew it was him. My whole body vibrated. It was almost like a cell deconstruction. Like my whole body was disintegrating. I had like major nosebleeds. I had more of a migraine. Like my whole brain was being attacked, and I knew that it was pretty severe. So I walked downstairs where I was in my house. I sat down on a chair and I started meditating. I started to look within. So I've learned a few tools by that point, which was about, healing myself and trying to, basically observe my Kundalini energy. And so while I was observing my Kundalini energy, I realized that it was going counterclockwise in a very slow pattern. And I knew I was under attack, constant attack for 4.5 hours exactly. And so at the same time,
this not be real? Yeah.
So at the same time, all the people that were doing remote viewing with me were also being attacked at the same time. That's very, very important to know what's coming next. So what I ended up to realize is that the Draco reptilians, especially them, use one person in particular and pretty much act like a 5G tower. Once they actually emit a signal onto one person, you become the 5G tower relating to all the people you know in your circles that are either star seeds or connected to these energies. And they're all being attacked at the same time.
Oh my
Okay.
God.
Yes. So that's very
So-
important. We can keep for that for later, but yes, go ahead.
So you were saying when you were interviewed in Gaia TV that the 5 million Draco soldiers, Draco reptilians, are in stasis in their cryo tanks in the
Yeah,
immersed in pneumatic gel or something like that. So
yeah.
they are fast asleep. So have you got any further viewing through your remote viewing sessions? What's going to happen then? Are they going to be activated, or at some point are they heading towards planet Earth?
Yeah, so that's like much later on. So this was happened back in June of this year. I was basically at my house, and I had a very clear sensation of a direct reptilian coming in, and I had a very clear vision of them coming onto Earth and starting killing the starseeds. This was kind of the feeling I had then. And I contacted Sid Goldberg from Gaia TV. I contacted some of my friends and people like I was supposed to be doing radio shows with. And so I was in real panic mode then because it kind of shocked me. And this was before the discovery of 3i Atlas. So 3i Atlas was discovered on the 1st of July. I went to talk to Gaia TV in June, and then 3i Atlas was not known, and I still shared what I could see from 3i Atlas having a ship coming in back in June, so before 3i Atlas was even discovered. So at that time, I basically had contacts within the CIA, within the Pentagon, within different agencies, and even the SSP and the White House. And all of these people were saying that they were all aware of 3i Atlas as being direct reptilian. But they wanted to ask me, I said, can you please double check? Can you remote view the ship? And so I went on board. I basically was able to clearly see the inside of the ship. And in order for me to do it, because I had some guidance, I basically was told that it could be potentially direct reptilian. And this was from two different events. The first one was from NSA receiving a message, an encrypted message from 3i Atlas, indicating that they were direct reptilians coming to Earth to gather the starseeds of his planet. This was the main message. And they were expecting the SSP and the Men in Black to release the database that they had on all starseeds collected around the world. This was the main intent. So they gave the world enough time to react to them coming over. This is the reason why the slow progression through space coming to Earth has been done on purpose. One is for the fear factor, is for the louche, is for people basically fearing them coming, and they feed off that energy. Second is also to give enough time for those agencies to gather the evidence that they want to collect. So that was the first insight I had, first information I had from NSA. The second one is from CERN. And so Jean-Charles talked about this. They have this Hadron Collider that basically was used to open up a portal that allowed ET beings to come through and to communicate with the scientist. One of the scientists communicated with me indirectly from my CIA contact in Dubai, and was able to share with me in person what happened then. And what she experienced was that an actual being from 3i Atlas showed up through the Hadron Collider as an hologram. They were not physical, they were not there physically, but they did show themselves as tall beings without being unclear as to how they look like. So it was not very clear. They couldn't really figure it out. They were humanoid beings, but she couldn't see exactly what they were. And the message was also telepathic. And so all the scientists present in the room were able to receive that communication for saying, once again, we're here, we're coming in peace. This was like the false message that they were trying to share then was we're coming in peace and we are here to gather the star seeds of his planet. That was the main message they gave to CERN. There was nothing really tangible or very specific, just to share that knowledge to them. But you have to realize that the scientists at CERN also communicated with other beings, shorter beings, different sized beings, and they were there physically. They showed up physically through the collider. The biggest concern that everybody should have is not so much what CERN has done in terms of communicating with beings and receiving information, is what truly happened back then when the portal first opened up. They completely split up time and space, and what happened is some spheres came through the portal and went through the walls of CERN's and ended up to be seen in New Jersey in the US, which is what all the big stuff that what happened around Virginia, New Jersey, when they could see those spheres popping up in the sky at night. They shut down all the airports over there at the time. It was a big mystery. No one really understood what happened. The spheres were being shot at. The SSP, the Pentagon, they all knew that those spheres were not from Earth. They were not from another nation. And they also had nobody on board. All they could detect from it was purely AI. So there was just AI on board. And I remote viewed those spheres at the time. I never made that public. I never talked about this before, even on Gaia TV, because when I talked to Gaia about this, Richard Doty was already talking about some of the spheres, and they already covered an episode on that, which was already old news. So we decided to ignore it. But what I was tasked to do then was to observe the inside of those spheres. And I could see different geometrical figures that were spinning super fast inside that allowed them to open up like a field of vision in 360 to film what was on the outside. So they were only like observing pods or spheres flying in close to the military and naval bases around Virginia and New Jersey. That was their main task.
Sorry, I just want to be on the same page here. You're talking about the Buga spheres?
No,
BUGA?
no, that's completely separate. The Buga spheres is something that happened in Mexico, like South America. I'm talking about the spheres that popped up in the sky in New Jersey and Virginia, like maybe
like
a year ago or
portals.
something like that. So that was just random. But what I was saying was those spheres came from the CERN facility in the first place. So those spheres popped out of that space, and that disrupted the portal at CERN. And so this portal is very unstable. And what happened after that, it triggered some tectonic events that are currently ongoing. So there are many events that are currently happening at the same time. One is the tectonic plates disruption on Earth. Two are the 3i Atlas ships coming in. What I did as a remote viewer, I was able to go onto 3i Atlas and observe what was inside. The command module was pretty much empty. There was hardly anybody on the deck. It was all controlled by AI. And then on the back of the ship, I could see all different pods. So some other remote viewers saw them as cell blocks almost, because they could see bars one after the other. Those bars were actually vertical pods where all the direct reptilians were placed in stasis, so they would not be in motion. They would be traveling through space without taking space and food and everything else. So they were pretty much in that mode. And I counted about, well, again, not so much counted, but I received information for saying there were about 5 million beings then, or about 5 million. Since then, I was also describing the deck. I was describing the material that 3 Atlas was comprised of, which was black goo with AI technology, and so they were able to blend in that material to pretty much morph the ship on their own requirements. If they wanted to make it into like a war spaceship, or if it was just a cruising spaceship traveling through space. That's what I picked up on.
Wonderful,
But
Sebastian.
can I interject one thing
Sure,
here?
Carrie. Yeah, it's a conversation now. Over to you,
Oh, all
Carrie.
right. So good. So you can hear me? Okay. So
Yes.
Sebastian, I
Carrie.
just wanted to say that it's nice to see you. But
Nice to see you.
aside from that, I'm just saying that so Captain Mark Richards told me a long time ago that CERN was keeping open a wormhole that went to the Draco galaxy, and
Okay.
that is what the reptilians and the Draco are using. They needed a way to bring a big ship, a really big ship, to come and pick up humans in wartime in various countries, and it like a slave ship, and
Yep.
that's what they are doing. So now I want to address this thing about that what you're seeing on the ship, because I am seeing a little bit different thing, and I have also some information. It doesn't mean you're wrong. You could be right. Okay, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying I see it in a little bit different way. So
Okay.
what you're seeing in those pod things inside the ship, I believe, is being I don't know how to explain this, but it's like a movie from where they really are. Those beings are not necessarily on the ship. That's like
Okay.
showing you a movie in each of the pods of all the millions of ones they have. Now, I said this, you weren't here, but I already told people, that the Wingmaker material, I'm in touch with James, who did the Wingmaker material. And what they say is that there is coming an invasion. It's not here yet, but I believe that 3i Atlas is the advance ship. Okay, and it's accompanied by what's called Lemon, and I showed some pictures as well. I could show them
Yes.
to you. Lemon and also
One.
Swan, and those are actually portal ships.
Okay.
I don't understand the technology, but that's what they are. And there's also the secret space program they had 9 ships accompanying, like escorting it after a certain point. And by the way, it was not just discovered when you knew it. Also, it was also supposedly the first time it showed up in our solar system was March. Of course, they lie to people and say, they only showed since July, you know that. So they don't tell the truth, obviously.
Right.
So just wanted to say that it had already shown up in March, apparently, according to astronomers that I've heard. And so I just want to say that about this ship and what it's going to do with this. This is the future, a possible future that they're trying to, that's a threat, right? You're perceiving what they are showing, but that's a threat.
Yes.
And what they aren't physically, I don't think, this is my take, on the ship yet, but they are showing you movies of them as they exist. I guess,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's on their planet or on another ship that's supposed to come later, how
Yes.
they're doing it, but that's what they're doing. They're showing you like a film strip of them. I see them almost like, yes, you said stasis, kind of like
Yes.
that, locked into, they don't act, they're not active. It's not like they were running around
You're
and
right.
doing
No,
things.
no, that's right. They are completely inactive, dormant,
Yeah,
however you want to call it. What I know is that the whole spaceship, and what I got from the remote viewing session as well, is like Richard Gray, Dr. Gray was talking about the speed as to why it was going so slowly and not traveling at the speed of light to come to see
right,
us.
right.
And the response I had from that was that one, the spacecraft alone is 28 kilometers big. And if they had the material and the technology to have up to 5 million beings on board, even if they were traveling from a different planet straight onto the craft when needed, that technology could not go through a portal to travel at the speed of light or to go through like a Stargate, for example. So it's just too big and it's too complicated. So they can only do that with smaller technologies, like smaller crafts, not of that size. And the other thing is, like you mentioned about Swan and Lemon, I also remote viewed Swan. And Swan, in my eyes, is a soul harvester. It's there to collect all the beings on Earth, the billions of people, of humans who won't be eligible to be picked up by the Dracos. The Dracos don't care about the rest of the humanity. All they care about are the star seeds. But the short gray aliens who are working with the Dracos are on Swan. And Swan is 200 miles large. It's way bigger than 3 Atlas. 3 Atlas could
Yes,
not even
I said that
connect.
too. And you
Oh,
also
yeah,
got the
well,
same, I said 17 kilometers or 18 kilometers, and you got 20. So we're very close in our size
yes,
of 3I
yes,
Atlas, the actual ship.
yes, yes.
Yes,
But Swan is way bigger, and
yes.
the connection that the Greys have with the Dracos, they're not there to support the Dracos. They're only there to save the rest of humanity. You have to realize that when I talked about the Collider and CERN, they are disrupting the tectonic plates of this planet, and we are facing potential changes on Earth. As we know, in the next couple of months, and I've got these results from multiple nations working with China, the US, all these
Right.
countries are so far apart, yet they know about the same information, which is there's something big coming. And
Uh-huh.
they are fully aware of the Draco reptilians' presence, fully aware of them. They know what happened at CERN, and they know that we have to prepare for food and supplies for the next 6 months to 2 years. This is coming in a very big way in the next couple of months.
So you're
Okay, so
saying
timing
The message.
natural
timing is always
disasters.
difficult when you're predicting certain things. I see it a bit further out than that, but
Yeah.
eventually we are going to have some things like that happening. And I could go into all of that, but it's important that people realize that a lot of, in a certain sense, I can do that thing. I'm sorry, his name is Charles. Jean Charles, is that his name?
Jean
Yeah,
Charles Moyen.
Jean-Charles, he's
Okay,
here.
Yes.
thank you.
Yeah.
I wanted to say, because you said some wonderful things when you did your talk. And I just want to say that, yes, you're right about everything like that. That you did a very good talk. I don't know how much you heard Sebastian, and I just wanted to say that. But I have to say that I can do that thing too, and I think Sebastian can do that thing too, where you can teleport to. I went on the ship, and I agree with you. It looks empty when you go in there,
Yes.
and but it's wall to wall machines. It's all, the whole thing is machines, like
Yes. That's right.
very technological.
How
And
did
I
it
think
feel, Carrie?
there is one attendant there. And I don't know whether there's other beings, because they've now, I'll show the image again. They have a new image of something that has shown up. And it made me sick when I saw it, sick to my stomach. So
Hmm.
it's not a good thing. And I'll show you the image again just in a minute. But that's all I had to say. I didn't want to
But what's
start.
on the feeling level? You said sick to the stomach before you saw the
When I saw a certain craft that I'm going to show you now, again, I showed you guys earlier, but I don't think Sebastian was here when I showed it.
Hmm. Yeah, you feel the dread and the doom and gloom. That's what you feel.
It's lower frequency.
Yeah.
I feel a pressure on my solar plexus too.
Wow.
Yes.
So at this point, I want to bring in Patty El-Brassad. Okay, Patty El-Brassad, let me tell you her background, because some of you are not familiar with her. She is a NASA whistleblower, Sergeant Patty Brassard, nuclear biologist and chemical warfare specialist scientist on defense system, a brilliant
ADA,
scientist. She worked for
Air
NASA,
Defense
Microsoft,
Military.
Lockheed Martin, Polaris,
Yeah.
built robots used in Fukushima, worked for Tokyo Electric, Company or TEPCO. And this is the first, okay, this first prelude of the conversation. Okay, now she has spoken at Physics before. She was talking about ETs. She is our planetary guardian, and she's a Mi'kmaq elder, and she's also the holder of the Ring of Midas. Okay, so Patty, you want to join the conversation in a minute after? Is Carrie? Carrie is showing something on the screen to Sebastian. Yeah, go on then, Carrie.
Everybody's got a small piece of this.
Yeah.
Everybody's right, but they don't have the total picture. David Sereda has all the data that actually ties to the full picture. That craft is not owned by the Draco. It's not owned by the Anunnaki. What's in those pods are empty bodies with no souls. They're reptilian, sort of, but they're not Draco. Anybody that watched when we put out all the data on Oumuamua, and we actually show pictures of the bodies that were in those capsules, that's the beings that actually own that craft. It's being run by an AI, and they had one staff member aboard. The reason it took the path it did, this was way back. There's another galactic empire outside of the Milky Way that sent shock troops into the Milky Way because they wanted an annex. Everybody here on every planet. Now, those troops died, and they got caught up in the auto-recycle matrix. That's what that craft and all the others, like Oumuamua and whatnot, were trying to come here to do, was to re-grab those souls. However, their troops have been through the recycle matrix so many times, they've been upgraded to human level. And they've been sending signals to all these religious god type planets owners trying to get a lock on their people. And it ain't happening. And we're not letting them take them back. To shove those souls into those bodies they got on that craft would be to downgrade them. And once those souls ascend past 5D, they lose touch with them and they can never get them back. Now, because you got all these empty bodies, and they mentioned, putting the black goo in there, everybody and his brothers on board that craft trying to get a hold of those soldiers. They want them as soldiers. And we've already told them no. Period. They're not getting the souls back. The soldiers are not being released here. They wanted to do an attack on Earth to get, kill everybody off to release the souls so they could grab theirs back. They can't even ID them. That's why they've been sending the signals out. They're sending one out, the Fibonacci signal, which is tied to the Mobius matrix, which was destroyed. They're sending one signal out at the crystal resonance level, and they're sending out one right in between. That's the three that they're sending. They can't ID any of their former soldiers at all. And we're not giving it to them.
Sammy.
I actually have a full list. When we destroyed the fake heaven, we grabbed the computer and everything. We actually have a full list. We ain't giving it to them. We know where those souls are. The secret space program and the negatives, they have a partial list. And I don't think they're being, if it's the Draco's side of this equation, they don't care. They want to take any of us that they can get that actually have abilities to throw in there to use as troops. Most of a lot of the ships that are traveling along with it, those are what's called the Aftermath class assault carriers. One of them was still being run by the corporate, and that's the one that got blown up. The other ones are held by us. We're not allowing this to happen. Those other two ships that are, swiveling around each other, they're like Oumuamua. Oumuamua, we sent about pictures out when that came through. We went inside. Somebody attacked that. The staff aboard got dead. It destroyed the stasis stuff. So when you opened them up, and we took pictures, But if you touch the bodies that were in stasis, they just, crumble to dust. But we did send out pictures. So I got pictures somewhere of the beings that are in those pods, but there's no souls in them. Those were to regain all their shock troops that they sent to the Milky Way to try and annex it. And this was a long time ago. And that's what all these craft are out there. The one that looks like an actual comet, you notice it actually got smacked by a CME. We told them they're not using the gate either. That was the central collection point for them to jump through the gate and take them back to their galaxy. That ain't happening either. Mm-hmm. So we've shut that whole operation down. And now they're going to go and they're headed for Jupiter. They're actually headed for Ganymede because they think, well, that's where all the fights are, all between all the different groups are. They think they're going to go out there and argue the point. I don't think they're going to get anywhere with that either. So that just ain't happening. We've already told them no. I told them no. The gardeners told them no, because you're not allowed to kill bodies to recover souls for anywhere else other than their personal choice. Those souls get to go and ascend where they're, able to go. And putting them in that bodies locks them permanently out, puts them locked down in 3D again. No, it's not going to be allowed, period.
Well,
Right.
we have been, let me explain a bit, okay, as where Patty's coming from. We have been learning from Patty for quite a number of years at Visay, until recently that, we all have to go off tangent sometimes. And here she's back because we are discussing Three-Eye Atlas. Nobody seems to know how to connect the dots really, as well as Patty does. Patty is really way there. Gene Decode used to work together with Patty, and they've gone out of body, and they've been working with the Galactic Alliance. And Patty was the one who brought the gardeners into the picture, into our planet to sort things out.
I'm otherwise known as the Enforcer, and as the holder of the Ring of Midas. If it's in Sol System, I'm in charge. That's why I have a hat that says boss across the front. Period.
And Patty said she's here to bring everybody home, and until
I'm here until everybody's gotten out of here.
Gone, I'm not gone home, out of here. Then only she will leave. She's not allowed to leave. Oh gosh, she'll be last to leave. So there you go. That's Patty for you. So back to you, Carrie, Sean Charles, and Sebastian. You've got a conversation going with Patty now.
David Sereda's video, he has all the facts, all the data, all the exact points, and every planet they hit, and all the gods, the former fake gods of all the religions. They've been pinning them individually to try and capture any of them that have, gained soul contracts in the, going through the recycle matrix multiple times. That's why they've been hitting all the planets where all those former gods were in charge of, that are holders of soul contracts. They haven't gotten anywhere with that either. And we're not going to ID them.
So it's interesting.
Well, I was the one who did the interviews with David Sereda that brought forward all that information. And there was about 4 interviews with him. So
and we had one,
and that was actually, back in near July, actually in August. So, but I just want to I think I put this back on the screen, this image, because I wanted to clarify it for people that maybe only saw it for a second, didn't understand. Also, Sebastian, I wanted you to see it because I don't think you've seen this image yet. This is on the Richard Hoagland. I don't know if you're on the Richard Hoagland news group because, there's a lot of people. Okay. And so this down here is Three-Eye Atlas. This up here is this, they're showing you the smaller and the larger close up. So this particular one is the one that has made me nauseous when I look at it. So there's something going on with that I'm just drawing your attention to. That's all. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. I appreciate
There's
that.
another aspect to this too. Now I lost my train of thought. Wow. the Atlas actually came in at 15 degrees and then it changed 10 degrees. And this is way before we put the shield up around Sol system entirely. And as it was transitioning from 10 to match, as it passed through 9, that's where the WOW signal came from. And a few months back, it also did something to both Voyager 1 and 2. And it went and reorientated both of those to where it came from, the big empty area near Vega, and then sent a massive broadcast to Earth. That was the start of them trying to find their soldiers' souls. That's what that whole massive transmit was about, that NASA and JPL received from Voyager 1 and 2.
Oh, hang on. Let me explain. Okay, Patty is saying that, you know, the Dracos that you see, the 5 million Dracos that you see in stasis in their tanks, in the cryo tanks, right, Sebastian?
Yep.
So Patty is saying they're looking for the souls from our planet to put back in
from
this
those
body.
soldiers from the original war. They want them back. They want to put them in those bodies that are going to actually lower their frequency and prevent them from ever ascending. That's not going to be allowed.
It's interesting what you're saying. I want to comment on that earlier, but Kerry took over. That's fine. What I saw back in June was that the Dracos were coming on Earth to actually basically take the souls. They had like soul gathering weapons to basically take. But then the star families would not allow them to do any of this. No. So I believe that the Galactic Alliance will get involved.
The Gardeners and the Guardians aren't going to allow it either.
That's
and
right.
I've already told them, and I'm not allowing it either.
Yes, so I think because they have treaties in place that are preventing them to interact with all the starseeds on this planet. They are just waiting for them to start doing their own actions to break the treaties, so they would be able to interact, with us. That's what
it's not even that simple, because now you've got everybody's brother who's gotten aboard that craft, and now they're fighting over those bodies, including bringing black goo to throw in there to try and reanimate those bodies, even without souls, to use them as troops. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I still have to say that what I think is important to know is that this is a lead craft. This is not the craft that is bringing whatever is on board. It's more a look ahead, a precog kind of look ahead. It's showing you what's coming. That it could be misinformation on purpose, but what is coming is a race of androids. That is what's going to come. So what this ship is going to do is it's not going to land on Earth and let out reptilians or whatever that's.
No, the android group, back when Blue Kachina was in the system, when we had to shut the sun down and fix it, the darkness for 10 days that happened, and most people don't remember it because they didn't have the kind of consciousness to be aware of what was going on. But the Blue Kachina and a whole task force went zipping out after that to go and take that whole group of mechanical beings out of the picture and just took them out. That ain't happening either. We already shut that shit down.
So, Patty, you mentioned that the WOW signal came from the same direction as 3 Atlas. There was like an 8-degree difference. And again, that was, a very speculative talk saying that it was one and the same, or it came from the same craft.
It came from, yeah.
Yeah. But what I'm saying
it was transitioning and it was accelerating.
Yeah. People could talk about like the Vega constellation and so on. You have to realize that 3 Atlas could also come from the Draco constellation, which is exactly the same direction too.
Yeah, same.
Right.
But
well, actually, David revealed in my interviews that you're correct in the sense that he showed it. 3 Atlas literally came from hyperdimensional Nibiru. That's what he showed. So you're
Okay.
right. That is in the Draco. I believe Nibiru is in the Draco constellation.
Constellation.
Yeah, but
Yes.
Nibiru is dead. When it was in system here, we boarded it, killed the red plasma entity that was running it, and then we towed it
What
out.
you did in,
So-
well, even, I'm not going to argue with you about whether that happened in 3D going into 4D, but where
Yes.
when a planet is hyperdimensional, it isn't what you did on 3D is not what happened on 4D,
That's right.
and above. So Nibiru still exists. Whether the planet is dead, it never was a planet. It's really a spaceship. So that's kind of like neither here nor there, but it's whether it's actually still a base and still contains stuff. And I believe it probably does. But
Time and
the
space.
Atlas, according to David
About-
Sereda and his mathematics, came
Hyperdimensional.
from there, the hyperdimensional
When-
one.
I hate that term because everybody misuses the hyperdimensional term.
Sure, okay, well, it's
Earth-
other dimensional. We're multidimensional, so everything is,
It's got 2 3D levels. You know what I mean? There are some planets that can.
he
fit
said, he
between
calls the planet
dimensional-
591, I believe, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, either way, I believe time and space works very differently in the universe, as you all know. And whatever we see is not linear. Like we can basically see, for example, the Pleiadians from my star family could be coming from what we consider to be our future, looking back at us as we are their ancestors. And that's why they cherish so much of the star seeds, because we are the beginning to their end. So it's kind of a paradoxal, loop that's going constantly going on. And
Time is circular.
what's that?
Time is circular. So
Yes. So it's not linear.
time is circle.
Yes. Right.
No, it's circular.
Yes. Yeah. So it's a loop.
And when you go outside of what I call material land, you can actually look at everything. So the only difference is each time you look going forward, there are changes each time depending on the choices that are taken.
Right. And that's what we talked about different timelines, different possibilities, and all of these things. So we all know that. But I think that from the 3D reality that we are living in, for me, for example, when I access information, I go to 5D and I bring it back to 3D. And so when you access this information, like I understand what's going on within the 3D reality. And what people have been seeing from my workshop doing remote viewing, they were able to go on 3 Atlas as well. And because they were just learning, they were just like seeing and observing one Royal Draco reptilian. We have Robert Manny right now. He's actually a radio podcast on Guys Radio, and he's listening to this right now. He was in that workshop, and he witnessed Bill, who basically was a person with no history of remote viewing. He's learned it while being there, and he was able to see himself right in front of a Royal White Draco reptilian in full costume with the armor, and looking at him as
Those craft, the Anunnaki are trying to hijack that craft. They're fighting over it at this point.
okay.
The corporate tried to get those in there and get a board to take it over. They got blown up.
So
Nobody's going to
you're
have any
saying,
success with that. We're going to shut them all down.
Patty, you're saying these factions are trying to hijack the craft. So you're saying that the beings in stasis, the bodies in stasis, have got no one to control, right? No one steering the craft.
I don't know. Is
AI.
the original guy still alive? I think he's the one that came and talked to him, through the CERN portal. He's still alive.
What you were talking
But-
about, Sean Charles?
I get what he wants.
Yes,
He
yes.
wants
Yeah.
Sorry
What
to
those original songs
interrupt you, but I have something different, but everything is linked. Maybe we can imagine, like I say, there is someone play with different timeline, and in another timeline, they want to merge timeline, you know? In a different timeline, maybe the three Atlas is the good beings, and in other timelines, there is a Draco try to hijack, and they have different reality, and we know in the CERN and in other technology, we are able to merge different timeline. I will be careful what I say, but I mean, you understand what I mean. During the 2 or 3 years of darkness, you know, the people believe that's not the reality, because they changed something. It wasn't normal what we lived during 3 years. You know what I mean? So I think someone play, and I don't think, I'm sure someone play, because when we have a déjà vu, you know what I say, my dear friend Sebastian?
Whatever.
We have the déjà vu because we already live this. Sorry, we already live this because someone, and we are very sensible, we are very connected, and some people like a star seed are able to feel that's not normal, something is wrong. And I'm okay with what say Sebastian, what say Kerry, because there is really something will happen. In September, end of September 2024, my contact, Victor, my star family, tell me, and I was on the scene of the JSIC at this moment, and I remember say there is a space fleet, a good being space fleet, enter in our solar system a few months before. Maybe they know what's happened, and let's link what Sebastian say, Kerry and me say. There is something in the universe, a battle from the evil against, you know, the good side. I'm sure something is preparing, but you know, some people don't want to disclose this information to don't be afraid people, but you know, you must disclose what you feel, what you say. It's okay. But when you realize each of us have a piece of the puzzle, we have the Pictionary of the truth, and I think there is something will happen. And I don't feel good with this energy of the three Atlas, and Kerry too, and Sebastian too, and a lot of people too, but we don't dare to share. But now it's time to share.
Yeah, but you know,
Here's the
Jean-Charles, at the
important
same
point.
time, and Patty, sorry, but I think what we have to realize, and all of us have to realize, is one, knowing what we know, and you know, preparedness is key. But at the same time, we can't live in fear, because that's exactly what those beings feed off. The next step up,
Right.
and again, we know, and I know, and I've seen it too, that the Draco reptilians or whoever wants to, you know, take part of our soul journeys won't succeed. Patty knows this. You know this.
Yeah.
We all know
We
this.
have the
We
leader
know.
of the House of Rest, so no.
Yes, so they won't win. So I know that, you know, I feel protected, and at the same time, we are all going to be doing great. At the end of the day, we are going to be rising up to 5D. I do believe that on Earth. My company, like the way I started it as Terra Novedis Center, Terra Novedis in my eyes is New Earth. And it's based on what we're going to be facing down the line. So I'm already preparing all the people that are coming to my workshops, and you know, me interacting with them face to face for the entire week. It's a transformational journey for everyone, because I can interact with them. I can feel their energy. I can channel their beings, like their star families, while I'm there with them. And I have a harder time to do it remotely, but I can do it one-on-one, no problem. And that's why I enjoy it so much, when I see those people, and I can see they all leave with a mission. They all believe what they're supposed to be doing, because they have clarity that they didn't have before. And this is what confirming for me is like they are all awakening, and everybody is in process of awakening. And I think the Dracos or whoever dark entities are there are going to be weakened by that, you know, density, and they won't be able to survive the 5D. They cannot live in 5D, and so they
No,
will
they
no
can't.
longer.
They
They
can't.
won't be allowed. Yeah, they won't be
Here's
allowed
the
to stay
important
here.
point.
Sorry, Patty?
Whatever you can convince the mass of humanity is the future going forward, that is what manifests.
Yes.
And that's why they keep trying all this stuff on the news and everything, all kinds of negative stuff and war and all that. That's trying to bring people's frequency down. They're doing everything they can to prevent ascension. And we're not allowing that either.
You're right.
Well,
That's why Trump originally wanted to do a world war thing with nukes, and I said, no, we're not allowing that either.
I just want to say, I don't agree with that perspective that that negative information brings you down. Actually, on the contrary, I think once you reach a certain level, you realize that we're all warriors, and it's actually galvanizing. It actually can be, you know, these are challenges that we are facing, metaphorical or otherwise. So I don't believe that revealing the negative brings you down. On the contrary, I think that it reveals both the yin and yang of Godhead in essence and what we're going through. So, and even up going through the dimensions, they have seen that both yin and yang exist. So this is not, it's not, I mean, I think there's a mind, like a meme out there that people get hooked up into. Oh, you've got to see positive things. That's bullshit. Because when you only see positive things, you ignore the truth.
You're right, Carrie.
Yin and yang.
Carrie,
it's both sides.
Carrie, I'm sorry to interject there. I think you're absolutely right. I think it's a twofold situation where the negative, I've been speaking about this, you know, on Gaia TV when they were all about love and light. And I said, you know, why are you calling yourself cosmic disclosure if you can't face reality? Because it might not be pleasant, but I'm not there to sugarcoat it. You have to face reality and, you know, face it and attack it, you know, with all the power that you have. And at the end of the day, you're right. People would be seeing this, preparing themselves, being warriors, will be able to accept it and accept the challenge and prepare themselves. But there are many, many of, you know, people in humanity that are not prepared. They are not warriors, and they are panicking because that's the reason why sharing the truth. Sharing all of this could be twofold. You can tell them this is like, you know, dangerous. This could be, you know, scary, but don't live in fear. Prepare yourself. You know, receiving the knowledge and moving forward is the best way to avoid fear, and that's why it's twofold, right?
Yeah, we're with you there, Sebastian. Carrie, go on then, Patty. You're gonna say something.
Yeah. What I'm talking about is all the programming that's still going on via the Babel box, the TV. That's what I mean by taking on board a lot of the negative stuff that is coming out still on TV. People got to shut that off. Start, you know, doing their own discernment, because that's what they need to do. I even was doing classes trying to get people to teach them how to turn on their internal TV, to use their, you know, their pineal gland and be able to see both remotely and see the truth and see, because the negative stuff that ain't true, it shows up like a black shroud around it. Once you get that internal TV turned on, you can tell what's true and what isn't.
Yeah, it's all this information. Like, I've been involved in remote viewing enough that I know that whatever is shared in the news and stuff that I've seen and got involved in, and what got printed at the end is day and night. They're just trying to, you know, hide the truth. Two different stories. Exactly. Yeah.
Right. So we have our moderator, my co-chair, Dr. Fres Fressel, with his hand up. Go on then, Fres.
And the thing that upsets me is even the, you know, the white hats, I should call them, putting out and doing a lot of lies. They had a game plan, and some of that I've nipped in the bud. Period.
Thank you, Patty. You guys are going to love this. Okay, you guys are going to love this question. I'm going to direct it first at Carrie, and feel free to jump in. I'm on limited bandwidth because everything got knocked out the last few minutes here at my location.
Thanks, Fres, for starting the Q&A conversations
Well,
with
it's
the panel
timely
speakers.
because this is
Yeah.
this is right where these folks are talking right now. Is this one?
Sure.
Carrie, Werner von Braun has been alleged to talk about the alien card being played to cause our planet to unite. Now, with the U.S. government shutdown and the information on 3i Atlas, basically, we were very limited from our science, our grit look at things from a scientific point. The information, what I'm going to ask Carrie right now, yeah, I've got pauses in my connection, I'm sorry. Does the information that you're receiving on the videos that are being produced by the AI, does this pass your sniff test, Carrie?
No, I did say earlier that the AI videos often are wrong. So they, the trouble is that what they're trying to do is look at the whole amount of information that's come out since, well, July 1st. But in reality, like I was saying with Sebastian, the reality is that the secret space program apparently knew about it since March. So let's just keep that in mind. But anyway, in terms of what the AIs do, and this is not unusual for AI. Okay, what they do is they sort of gloss over certain things. They try to direct your attention to certain things. They also give you wrong information. And I just was tracking that. Okay. But a lot of people want to throw out the entire video just because they lie to you. They always lie to you. I mean, in my experience with AI, they always lie to you. Okay. And where they lie are areas they've been told not to tell the truth or to be quiet about it, right? And so they kind of fuck up if you if you understand. So I just think I do watch them, however, because it's a good way to gauge what is being put out to the public, and where they're telling the wrong information is very often very revealing. So just wanted to say that in answer to your question. But the other part of your question, Werner von Braun, yes, he knew that there was going to be, basically what I'm trying to talk about, but nobody seems to want to hear it, about, what is coming, which is this race of androids. I do not believe they've been taken out. I'm in direct touch with James of the Wingmakers. If you know about the ACIO, which I assume you do, Patty, then you know that they have all enhanced intelligence, that organization is real. He was one of them, okay? He has just sort of distanced himself, but it doesn't mean he's not still one of them in a way, because he wouldn't get engaged when I asked him about 3i Atlas, except to say it's not the craft that we're talking about, which is written about in the Wingmaker material and actually goes back in history before Wingmakers. This is whether you like it or not, it's a challenge. It's a race of androids. Pete Peterson talked about it. We also already have, you might know this, in China has as well. We have soldiers. We have these, I don't know, android soldiers that are in these underground bases, hundreds of thousands of them. Both the United States has it and China has it, okay? In preparation for this thing that might happen to the Earth in the future. Now, it's not that far away from what I understand, but this is not, 3i Atlas is not that. That James was very clear on that. And I also talked recently to Mark Richards. He is, I think he has to lie because that's why I always had to see him in person. So he said over the internet, which is the prison internet, which of course they watch everything. He just said it's not, a big deal. It's not like going to be the thing. A lot of people think it's the thing. It's not the thing. So anyway, just saying that. Werner von Braun, let me say one thing about him. He is They went over, from what I understand, like Fringe, the TV series Fringe. They went over and they got another Werner von Braun that was much younger. This is my understanding from a time traveler, a guy, and I told this whole story at my 2013 Time Travel in Other Worlds conference on stage. I reiterated what this guy had told me, who grew up in the Pacific Northwest. So these scientists that you think are dead are often reincarnating or being brought over from, in the Fringe way, right? And I think there's another thing called counterparts or something like that. Anyway, and they also have a way to actually, rebirth them in a very speedy way. But he's not dead, that guy, Werner von Braun. And he was a Nazi back in the day. He really was.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Carol Rosin wants you to believe that he wasn't a Nazi. But
Carrie, you kept referring to James of the Wingmakers. That's James Neruda, right? He was at one time, people relate to, he's the head of the Courtiums, Mahu-Nahi, and apparently the Courtiums, ET race, is not
the
to be
Courtiums
trusted
are
as much as the
reptilian
Greys.
beings. James is not. There's a lot of lies out there. I have dealt with him directly. I had the rights again to the material. I recently reconnected with him. I've been in dialogue with him online, and I've also in the past spoken to him on the phone. He is not Cordium. Cordium is a Draco alien race. James is fully human.
James hijacked the original writings of the Wingmakers, the ancient.
There's a lot of bullshit out there. That's all I can tell you. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're talking about, those people. I'm sorry.
So Wes
lies
Penray,
everywhere.
Wes Penray saved the original website.
Yes. Yes. And some of it has been reconstituted to hide certain facts.
So they're saying Mahu-Nahi is the head of Courtiums, and that's James. And
he's not Cordium. I don't know who Cordium, I don't know, I know that they're Draco reptilian. They're not, but he is not one of them.
Mm-hmm. Right. Back to Patty. Patty, you were saying something?
Yeah, I have issues with the Wingmakers too. Some of the things they've tried to do that we've had to shut down. There's other issues. There's a lot of Draco hybrids out there, like the Rigelians. They used to be humanoid. The Draco took it over and they hybridized. There's a lot of hybrid groups out there at this point. Like Kerry said, that is true. But we're not letting a lot of the stuff. The Wingmakers were working for a short time with the negative Greys, and they were trying to set up. Let them come back here to do tutorial sessions with humanity to teach them how to use their extra abilities and everything. We had to shut that program down too. So the Wingmakers, they're not good people. They're really not.
Actually, that's not true. The Wingmakers are not the people who did the ACIO. You're getting them mixed up. You obviously don't know the actual history of this group.
I know the ACIO,
the group that is, excuse me, but the group that's called Wingmakers are basically high dimensional beings, nothing to do with the human beings.
The ones that are here, I know.
ACIO. So when you say that you should be what you
I'm talking about the ones that are here.
Yes, you should be saying ACIO because they're the ones that were talking about the Wingmakers, who discovered the ancient arrow sites on the planet, in Chaco, and so on and so forth.
Kenyan.
So it's I know this stuff very, very well. I'm not to have an issue. I'm just saying, don't use the word Wingmakers because that refers to the high dimensional beings that they believe were communicating with them. That's different.
Yeah, well, I'm with you there, Kerry, because these high dimensional beings, they were actually us of the future, 750 years in the future, who had come back here because everything gone wrong and they had to fix the base of the
Well,
pyramid that had gone wrong.
they communicated with ACIO to warn them about just what I'm warning
Yes,
you about, which is
I'm
the
with you there
incoming
because I
invasion
read,
that they were worried about. So
yeah,
the Wingmakers communicated with ACIO, who then were run by this guy called 15, and they
yes,
got kind of off on another tangent. And that's why James actually left them. He separated from them. The wingmakers.com is his creation, the website I'm talking about.
you mean the
Since then,
original one? Yeah, I believe because way back in 1998, I've been reading the manuscript when it first came out, and it was it wasn't Dr. Neruda, but Dr. Anderson that time, who was interviewed by a journalist called Sarah, and she came up with the manuscript from the interviews transcripts. And apparently
that's
then
correct.
ACIO has taken over the artifacts that was found in Chaco Canyon by some explorers. And number 15 is actually the head of the ACIO, works with the SSB and all this NSA, National Security Agency. And
Right.
apparently A.R. Borden is number 15. And A.R.
Yes, and I was
Borden,
in touch with him directly.
yeah. A.R. Borden, when he was alive, he was training his protege, Michael Lee Hill. Michael Lee Hill tells me if I want to learn anything that I learned from A.R. Borden, it's there. And I only need to just reach out to him. And he was talking about the Wingmakers project. He's talking about the ancient Aero project. That's it. That was what it was known, and now it became the Wingmakers. And then, I mean, this is a story I got right from the beginning that Mahu Nahi, and that's James. But you were saying another version, another story. So I don't understand. I wish A.R. Borden's still alive, and we can get the whatever from
Well,
him.
I'm in direct touch with James, and I've read most of his books. So, I just can tell you that the rewriting or changes in the website, some of that was to hide some earlier disclosures that they didn't want out there. And possibly even because he separated himself, it's possible that they interfered with his work at that point. He will not reveal the sabotage that went on, but that group has been, I'm not sure fragmented is the exact word, but there has been a lot of problems, with the group, the ACIO.
Maybe his webmaster, Mark Hemper, is that his name, would be able to put some light on this?
No,
Because,
Mark Hempel is working directly with James, and he wouldn't say anything other than what James told him to say.
okay.
Can you comment on Peter the
And
Insider?
Mayhew, by the way, is James's last name. That's not. And yes, James is actually Neruda. Yes.
Neruda, that's right. That's the name, James Neruda. Yeah. Oh,
What can you
wow.
say,
ACIO
Kerry, about Peter the
so many
Insider?
atrocious things that, and now they're trying to whitewash themselves. You know what I mean? No. And they're still run by Anunnaki, basically,
Who?
since we shut down the
ACIO?
Black Sun group. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let me put this in perspective for the viewers. Okay. So Sebastian was talking about the Galactic Alliance. Carrie's talking about Galactic Alliance. Sean Charles as well. So they didn't mention the Galactic Federation, by the way. And then Sebastian, I'm just putting the dots together. Sebastian's talking about CERN in Switzerland, okay? Not letting us know the truth. Okay, so CERN in Switzerland. Who works with CERN? Okay, of course, it's under the jurisdiction of the Galactic Federation. That is, the SSB is under their wings, right? So
right.
is it working for the good of humanity? Yes or no?
No, CERN
No.
is not
There you go.
under the
There you
control.
go.
They
So
think recently that the White Hats took control of CERN. Whether that's actually true or not is another matter, but that was what they put out. Okay. But in the past, CERN, as I said, opened the Draco to the Draco galaxy, the wormhole, and that is something they're still keeping open. As I think forget whether it was Jean Charles, who said it was unstable, or whether it was maybe it was Sebastian. But
I
it is
said it too.
unstable.
You may
Yes.
Yeah.
have you may have said it too. You may have said it too. But I do believe that the Galactic Federation is consortiums of ETs that
Yeah.
are working with the SSP, and some of them do have Drake reptilians on board,
Yeah.
because
Yes.
the Drake reptilians are not part of the Galactic Alliance. The
Exactly.
Galactic Alliance is
Correct.
not, supposed to
So,
be interacting with humanity
yeah.
directly, like
Yeah.
through channeling perhaps and all of these things, but not physically speaking.
Yeah.
The Galactic Federations have direct access to the SSP because they are the ones who are helping them to reverse engineer all the alien technologies they can use on Earth and far beyond. So
Yeah.
that's what is very distinctive between the Galactic
It is.
Alliance and the Galactic Federation.
Sure. So I have to make this clear for viewers, okay? Sebastian and I did have some chats on this, conversations on this, and he and I are on the same page. And of course, we've been informed and educated by, well, as I said over here, this platform, we don't make judgment, okay? And we don't take sides, okay? So I tell everyone here, take the best and throw the rest, okay? And we know for a fact that Tegetian Pleiadians has been telling us, the Swaru official website, Gosia, has been telling us there are some truths there, that we have to pay attention to, that the Galactic Federation has gone rogue, like Sebastian's saying just now, that they're not working for our best interests, unfortunately, along with the SSP. Of course, that's why there's so much classified information and there's no disclosure forever and a day. And Carrie has been working her back off, and so does Sebastian and Jean Charles and Patty. And we all, like Warriors here, and we want humanity because we have a right to know. We are privy to information and technology as well, and the free energy, what we're doing here. So therefore, folks, just be aware there are different factions here. So our brothers and sisters here are talking about the Galactic Alliance, okay? That is for our side, for our best interests, right? So I want
Yes.
this to be clear. So if SSP, Galactic Federation, okay, forget it. Patty, you can explain more. Yeah.
A lot of former members of the original Council of 12, and then we found out that some of them were working with the Anunnaki. There was other splinter groups that went up from there. They call that the Council of 9. That's working with the fake Gaia, and it's working with the AI. That's who the ACIO is still working with. Yeah, it's a mess. It really is. That's why they hadn't Atlas is heading out to Ganymede, because that's where everybody gets together and argues.
And the treaties and stuff.
And the treaties and all of that. Just do.
All right. Press, you want to interject with some of the scientific stuff that we can debate on? There's so many anomalies, right? Every lobe seems to be straddling both sides. Yeah, Carrie, could you put more light on which direction is every lobe heading?
And everything keeps postponing the final ascension to get everybody out of here. It's
The thing is, though, like when you see about all the 10 anomalies that AV Loeb has been documenting, and all the scientists either decide to stay quiet, NASA not releasing pictures of what they already took before Perillion,
I've seen
and all, yeah, me too. But all the people who are basically just ignoring the facts and still pushing that AI agenda for basically deceiving the public and making them fed up with the discussions of 3 Atlas. And that's so, relevant that they want people to be so fed up with it. It's like, oh, let's move on. Let's go to the
just
next
so you know,
thing.
the Mars orbiter, when it came past Mars, the Mars orbiter had 35% of its fuel tank left. They burned through 30% of it, shot it out, and took a really good picture of it.
Yeah.
They're not releasing it.
Oh, Russ has a hand.
They
His
shut
hand
down
up.
everything, closed all the links. Yeah.
Russ has his hand up again. Russ, take out.
Well, you guys just shot past me, but that's okay. We went on to the third question, so I'll ask the third question. And
Okay.
it basically, as you mentioned, there's a lot of anomalies in this reporting. Part of them is those reflective chips. And from a distance, if those reflective chips around 3I Atlas are representative of size, physicality of it, and that's not a streak, then those are horrendously large crafts that are on there. I mean, that makes Lemon look like yeah. Whereas if it's a reflection, just a flat piece of debris flying, then that's a streak going with it. And the other thing that's interesting, as I say, the streaks versus reflections is an interesting anomaly and has two different answers depending on which way you want to look at it. The second anomaly is the 14-second frequency bursts that are coming back from that craft or whatever it is in bursts, those codes. And it's very similar to a computer ping to the planet Earth. And it's showing up in our Schumann resonance. We're getting an echo off the planet from that one. The third, the third anomaly on this is this, and we've mentioned it earlier, is the change of trajectory and speed of 3I Atlas. So if it was a rock, unless it got acceleration by going past the sun or past a planet, you wouldn't think that there would be, this doesn't fit the rock theory, okay?
It has a 0-point energy tap drive.
Yeah. Now, the last three went, and I'm coming from the grit side, which we saw this rock come in from outside, and it's going to come through, it's going to go, and it's going to leave in a few months, and then we'll be sitting there going, well, what did we discover, or what do we know? And it's gone. So the last one, and I'm going to ask it and let Crystal divvy it up between you guys. Is it possible that this thing that's acting like a rock now was once a really good spaceship but collided with something and it's taken its debris field and its bodies and whatever's inside with it? So is it a ghost ship?
No.
Left astray in the stars, and I'm going to let Crystal moderate. Go ahead.
Thrusters actually.
Yeah, Patty, go on.
It's thrusters, but its main engine is actually a 0-point energy tap, and that's why they're getting the anomalous materials reading with no iron but a bunch of nickel.
Yeah, but it's not just that though. Like Patty, like you see that if it's blue and it's hotter than the sun itself, it has its own propulsion system. So there's no way a rock could heat up, hotter than the sun. Obviously that's because it has its own engine. Full stop. There's no
0-point energy tap.
You don't have to be a scientist to know this.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
And those ships, the aftermath class,
let me say that if I'm correct about it being,
hold over 4,000 crew.
What?
The aftermath class carriers that are riding along beside it, they have a crew of over 4,000. They're huge. I've got the full blueprints for one of them.
There's a very strong possibility, it's surrounded by a Dyson sphere. And if that's true, the Dyson sphere, according to Captain Mark Richards, can contain a small brown dwarf that gives it the energy. When the early photos came out, you saw it looked like it almost had a headlight. It's very possible that there's an energy source within the Dyson sphere that surrounds it.
That's what was the jet that was going out in front of it. That's the gaseous metal thruster, and that was to keep it from speeding up as it came in towards the
Actually,
sun.
that's
That was supposed
not
to be
my
a nice
information.
rendezvous there.
What you were seeing is not the actual, it's not a physical craft. That's not part of the physical craft. It's got, if you look at the pictures, maybe you didn't see them, there are rings of, energy around the actual craft. So the craft is actually hidden by these rings of energy, and one of them is this this
Point
particular
energy drive.
Dyson sphere.
That's the 0 point energy drive.
So what's
The
this
rings that-
about the nickel tetracarbonyl content material of the comet?
That's not the
like
drive.
Hastings?
That's the thrusters.
That's the thruster.
That's
Okay.
just the thruster.
Yeah, and very low in water content, very low in iron. I mean, which is
Yeah.
unusual with any other comet. So, I mean, they
Craft is not an
calculated.
outcast. It's not a comet.
Yeah, I know,
It's
I
not
know.
a comet, so it's not out yet.
James Webb facility and high rise and all, were doing all these calculations of the composition of the covering, okay, the shell of the mothercraft. Okay, so they were calculating all this composition of the material and how it's doing the outgassing and all that, and the tail facing the sun, which is very unusual, and blah blah blah. So that could be what I mean.
You have to take all the facts and then take public admitted, all the specifics of a comet and try and jam this into it. It doesn't fit. But what you're seeing out there, taking all the data they get and then try and jam it into it's a comet, and it doesn't fit. And it ain't ever gonna fit.
Everybody can see it, Patty. Everybody can see it,
Yeah.
but no one comments on the electromagnetic field around the craft. No one talks about this, but everyone can see it.
Everyone can see it. Yeah. And it's pretty
But everybody's
amazing that,
told to shut up too,
yeah.
or else.
Are you aware of the two crafts that are coming in, entering our solar system in 2026 and flying in tandem, following the same trajectory as 3 Atlas? Do you know anything about this?
Because our sun is an artificial one with gates in it, this was supposed to be a rendezvous point. They were supposed to collect all these souls, put them in bodies, bring them here. That current comet that's out there that we smacked by closing the gate on the other side and washing it, has been told they can't use the gate. That whole program is not going to be allowed.
Mm-hmm.
There's other craft coming in. Oumuamua was a damaged one of those collection crafts. We've got one that, Apollo 21 went and saw crash on the moon that was all shot up. Same thing.
Yeah.
There's two out there now.
Thank you, Kerry, for sharing screen pictures. We need pictures, folks. If you got any interesting one to illustrate our conversation here, please share like Kerry does. I can't share screen at all. I've lost control of all the navigation tools on my desktop for the first time. I don't know what happened. They're trying to stop me to chair a good meeting here, unfortunately. So carry on, please.
So can you see this picture that I have on the screen? Does that?
Yes. Would you be
So
able
this
to
is
expand it?
actually, one of the validated pictures, and you can see that the actual craft is actually deep inside here. It's surrounded by or camouflaged by this protective shell, and the shell. David Sereda and Richard Hoagland and other scientists have said this shell, if you look at it closely, is actually a construct of something.
Construct.
They don't know what it's made of. It's not made of clouds. It's not made of water. It's actually something. And what is actually enclosing this is why I say it's possibly a Dyson sphere.
Mm-hmm. And the
And so
amazing
when
thing,
they
Kerry,
show you pictures of it, a lot of times they don't show you the layers of protection it
the
has.
amazing thing
It's a
is the James Webb
semi-organic
facility could even do the spectrometry to determine the age of the shell here. And you say it's a Dyson sphere. And they even determine all scientifically, okay, how many billion years old from an ancient timeline or
Yeah, but
whatever.
frankly, I think that's a lie, a camouflage, just for
It's a lie.
whatever it's
Yeah.
worth.
Okay.
From my perspective, this idea that it's so old and all that, I think there's, again, that's part of its, camouflage. The idea is that it actually appeared on the edge of our solar system. They're extrapolating that it's been traveling at the same speed for eons and eons, going back
Yeah.
billions of years, coming from the external, interstellar area somewhere. Some say the black hole. But the reality is that we know about spaceships, the UFOs that are visiting us every single day. They jump. Okay, there's no reason to assume it's been acting the same way it's acting within our solar system outside it. I'm just saying, take on board that this thing jumped to the edge of our solar system from the galactic center. So it didn't have to travel like on a railroad track. It could have jumped like most craft do.
Like jump gates and teleportation portals and going through portals and wormholes. Why couldn't they do that? Why do they have to travel on the orbital trajectory, right?
Yeah. The SSP tried to attack it twice since it got, into our solar systems. And the first one was the attack that they had with on the opposite side of the sun. So they basically created a solar flare that attacked it. And they realized that it was not responding to it. It was not affecting it because of the shield all around it. So they sent a bigger craft after that, and there was no response. So they failed twice. And I spoke to the people who were in charge of that. And then at first, they were so confident. They said, no, it's all under control. We'll be able to allow them to move on and not, to enter into our space, and they won't interact with us, blah, blah, blah. And then after that, after their failure, their tone changed big time because they realized that they could not affect it. So
hang on a minute,
now they're relying on the Galactic Federation and the Galactic Alliance because by themselves they cannot do anything.
Self-healing, semi-organic metal that doesn't exist in the solar system. So no.
So anyway, Johan Nordqvist from Sweden has his hand up. Go on then, Johan. Pick up the microphone,
Yes.
please.
Thank you for a very interesting session. I have a question. How old is 3I Atlas?
Oh God, I don't know exactly when that whole group came in from outside the Milky Way. Like I said, this is somewhere after that group came in and it ended up in the recycle matrix. They sent that whole system and set it up to try and recover their souls. It's a long time ago. It's very old because that was a long time ago.
Even long ago, even before our planet was formed.
I heard
before Earth was even.
I heard an opinion that it was 4 billion years old.
Yeah, at least that.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how long ago that attempt at annexing the Milky Way went down, a long time ago.
But I have to say again, that could be camouflage. They could be
I agree.
disguised as being old and not actually be as old as you think it is.
I don't believe as old as what everybody says. I think it may be maybe a few hundred thousands of years old, but that's pretty much it. I don't believe it's billions or millions of years old personally.
So what made you believe what you just said, Sebastian?
Just based on the history of the Draco reptilians and how long they've been around and from the federations, and I know a fair bit from the history, and I know they're not as old. If they were as advanced and as old as the universe, they would be way more enlightened and higher up on the dimensional scale as they are today. So this is a very far-fetched story in my eyes.
Wow,
The
Carrie,
Draco's
I
out from
really am so amazed with the pictures you managed to get hold of. Carrie is the most well-connected light warrior, so we can expect her to bring up
Well,
pictures like
all
that.
of these, all of these pictures are from the Richard Hoagland and also from John Walson. Do you know who John Walson is? He was the one who photographed. I've met him in person. I've worked with him. He has several gigantic telescopes. He can actually show you really detail of Saturn, Mars. He's not allowed to. He used to work for the Queen. He's a master really astronomer, and that's been documented. He's not able to show us the exact photos that he has, which would be even better than these, but these are some of the best that he recommended as being closest to what he is able to see through his telescope. So these pictures were, again, ones that he brought forward and also ones that I got from Richard C. Hoagland. And I can say that if you look again with the rings, it's absurd to think you know that much about the actual craft itself. With this kind of protection, I can say that in the Richard Hoagland news group, the scientists said that what it did when the CME attacked it was basically distill it down to particles and swallow it, bring it in. It's already known that ships get energy from the sun. That's how they use the fuel of being in contact with the sun. And again, John Walson he was on Rents for years, showing ships right next to the sun refueling. So there's no doubt that the CME energy was taken in by this craft and it was not harmed at all, which is true. Sebastian was correct on that.
Carrie, if you look at my Facebook page, I basically released the latest image of 3 Atlas from composite images from John. It's already there, and you already did an outline of it. And that's pretty much what I saw back in June. When I remote viewed 3 Atlas, it was exactly that same image.
Right.
So it was striking when I saw it. I recognized it right away. And I posted it on my Facebook page because it felt so like it was definitely something I recognized.
I'm sorry, I don't know the person's name, but the one person asked about the age. I'm just saying, considering the camouflage that's going on here, I think that we have to be careful not to think we know for sure.
So, okay, considering all these bits and pieces of intel, disclosure information or whatever in this conversation, what do you think is going to happen in December? Are they coming any closer to our planet? Are they going to give us a miss or what?
No. They are coming close. End of December is when they're going to be reaching the closest to Earth, but they won't be landing to Earth. They would never come that close. But I do believe that some cloaked craft are already all around. Just last night, I was actually driving with my son to pick up my daughter from dance, and there was a TRB-3 craft, a triangular craft, right above our truck. And my son never saw a UFO before, but we stopped the truck, we went outside, and we looked straight at it, and it was right above us, and it was flying super slowly at 6:30 p.m. So it was not like they were trying to hide from anyone, and they're just like flying our airspace.
But
it was not alien. No, this was not alien. This was SSP.
Is SSP
That
from
was SSP.
Antarctica.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yes,
from Antarctica.
they were right here on Vancouver Island last night, and they didn't hide in plain sight for everybody to see. And then all the cars were driving by, and no one was stopping. But we stopped and we looked at it, and we could see that black triangle, underneath sides, and my son could not deny it. And
So Sebastian, what's your take on this TR3B? So the SSB is working with 3i Atlas, or are they negotiating, or are they?
They are in preparation of what's potentially coming, which is the presence of the direct reptilians in my eyes, who are already cloaking themselves around the planet, will be making themselves known to us this month. And then the whole humanity is going to be changing their views on what they know about space and aliens. That's my take on it. And that's what CERN has received as a message. So the scientists from CERN shared that information with me, back in August.
Let me set some, people don't know what 1 AU is. That's the distance of the sun to Earth.
Yeah.
Its closest approach is going to be 1.8. That's almost 2 AUs away from us. Almost twice the distance from Earth to the sun. So is that close? No.
That's only if it doesn't change its, it could change. This is the thing. I just want to urge people. Now I have another image on the screen that David Sereda showed its direct trajectory. Do you see that?
Yeah.
We see the desktop image. Yeah.
Okay. And it shows, so that is the predicted trajectory, that it is going to be actually closest to Earth, and Jimmy Blanchett is tracked it to being the 19th of December. Some people say a bit later. And that is what it's predicted to do. It doesn't mean that it couldn't change its trajectory at any moment.
We're only seeing a desktop image, Carrie, on your screen. We don't see the actual...
Yeah, we don't see any image now. It's just
I'm sorry,
folder.
it disappeared. I have to find it again, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh, Fres has his hand up again. Fres, go and then unmute yourself. Fres?
Yeah, there we go. Bad connections today. What I'm trying to do, this next question is to the panel as a whole, and it basically is to give our audience a chance to understand what you guys do as remote viewers, how it's put together, and some of the historical content of how this developed. Remote viewing is done, excuse me, bad connection, is divided into two categories. One, boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Oh, Fres, you dropped.
I've lost everything. Yeah, this is bad. Okay. Bad connections here. Videos back. There we go. All right. As remote viewers, there's two ways, generically speaking, of doing this. This is as individuals or as groups, as explained by Major Ed Dames in his protocol of almost 20 or 30 years ago. I hear a little of each from each of our guests today. And for our audience, what we've done as PhysEgg is we have pulled together everybody, and they have independently seen these things. And so it goes closer to what Major Ed Dames in his protocol was trying to establish as a scientific approach to understanding remote viewing. Crystal, back to you, and I'll let your guests, our guests today, talk about their part in remote viewing.
Yeah, so you are saying, as the four of our Illumin speakers here are concurring with each other, so that could bring us closer to the reality of what's happening. Okay, thank you.
It follows Ed Dames, Major Ed Dames protocol really close when we go to this format. But some of them, I think, our guests today, some of them actually do this as a group. So that's why I was going to bring it up and let them comment.
This is my whole intention by bringing them together, because we have to get closer to the truth, and we're digging deeper and deeper for the truth here.
Yes.
Okay, back to you, Carrie. Carrie.
Oh, okay, so can you see my image now?
Yes.
Okay, good. So basically, on the 20th of December, this is where it's going to be going David said, the closest to Earth. But again, I think we need to keep an open mind. At any time, I believe this is again directed by AI, and it could change its trajectory. There are beings, they are listening. I believe that, as I say, there's one major operator on board, but I believe that is an android, not a reptilian, for what it's worth. And just want to say that we just don't know what, it's kind of like being part of an experiment. You're still part of the experiment. At the same time, you're trying to look at it from a distance and see what's going to happen. But you have to acknowledge that we're going to have an impact on what it's taking feedback from us. And it could at some point decide to redirect itself for what it's worth. Just positing that possibility.
Carrie, the question, the original from Fraz about the remote viewers, you have to realize that when I mentioned John Vivenco on Gaia TV, is because he, as a group, they basically, all of the people in his group saw the reptilian presence on board of 3 Atlas. So it was not just him as an individual, it's the group where she saw the reptilian presence. And they each described it in their own
the
way.
Anunnaki are reptilian human hybrid, they're reptilian, Draco-reptilian hybrids, okay?
Right.
Humanoid hybrids. So it's definitely, there are other beings there, but I guess what I'm trying to say is the prime operator that's linked to the AI. All I'm saying is that whoever is operating the ship is actually probably being remotely directing it, okay? And it has put whatever instructions it is into the ship itself. And it may be, as Mark Richards often says, the ship may be conscious itself. All I'm saying is that there could be some awareness there that's going to be impacted by what we are saying here, by how humans handle it, etc. And the secret space is still attacking it for what it's worth. I'm sure they have not stopped because they're also escorting it. It's surrounded by what used to be 9 ships, maybe 8 ships. Someone else now is saying 20 ships or something. And he's an intelligence agent, whether he's telling the truth or lying, I don't know. But the thing is, as far as remote viewing, I studied remote viewing in a day class with Ed Dames. I met with him one-on-one. I talked to him rather extensively. I even did my own remote viewing. That was the first time I think, did it. And he came by and looked at it, and I remote viewed these little mechanical creatures on Mars, by the way, and he said it was correct. So for what it's worth, I have also had validations of my own remote viewing since then, because I started doing it every day. There's various things you can put yourself through. So, but I never agreed with his point of view of the kill shot from the sun, which was his big thing that he talked about on Art Bell for years and never happened. But it could have been stopped by ETs who are always redirecting direct hits by CMEs on the Earth. And they taught humans how to, the space program, how to handle that as well.
Right. I'm going to make this clearer, what Carrie was saying. Okay. So Carrie's saying the SSB is attacking 3i Atlas, keep on attacking it. So that makes one think, all right, that is a conflict of interest, isn't it? I mean, are they pirates fighting for control of the stash, control of their stash of gold? That is the souls of light warriors, light workers, or human beings themselves, Homo sapiens sapien, that has the God essence in our DNA. Are they fighting for control of us? Okay, is that right, Carrie?
The stash of the bodies to put those souls into.
Yes, and so says Patty. So that hammers it home. Now we understand what's going on about the Star Wars situation. Why isn't the SSB working with Three Eye Atlas, if it's a Draco reptilian, okay, even they are greedy for the stash, right? As Patty's saying. Does that make
Everybody's
sense, everyone?
Well,
The
there
galactic-
is a war within the SSP. I started out my
Right.
sort of lecture, if you remember, in the other hour by talking about the war going on behind the scenes in NASA, which extends to the SSP, obviously. William Tompkins talked about it. We have Pleiadians on the one hand protecting our space program, but we also have Draco reptilians that are embedded, deeply embedded, and Nazis in our secret space program. So
Yes.
there are definitely two factions at the very least, maybe more, and they are not in agreement. And right now, the Trump administration is having to enter that fray and try to take control of it. And that's a whole nother ballgame that they're not talking about. But I think it's very important to begin to focus on that.
Yes.
So we are not commodities and products to be traded like bouncing over the tennis court. Okay, so folks, now this is a message here. I'm so glad we have this conversation. So all we need to do is to stand tall and stay balanced and rooted and never let your frequency be lowered through fear because it's a choice. Okay, so you know you have the divinity in you, and so we are awesomely powerful Patals walking on a planet, sovereign soul beings of the Almighty Source of the One I Am, the Mighty I Am presence. So they will never, they're fighting for us. So we'll not let them take any one of us. Right, Patty?
Yeah. Let me add one more issue. Everybody's heard about Trump doing the nuclear test. Now, bear in mind, nuclear tests destroy soul links. He's already threatened them that if they send anything here to Earth to try and grab souls by killing bodies, he's threatened them already and did a nuclear test and said, we'll destroy them all first. That's what's recently happened. That's how serious this fight is getting.
Yeah, I saw that too. And, Russia is talking about the same thing right now as well, because trying to say, like, if Trump is doing it because we want to be on par with China, now Russia is saying the same thing too. So the nuclear agenda is really the last resort. But I also believe that the Draco reptilians want to gather the star seeds and take their souls, so it will actually weaken the ranks of the Galactic Alliance. That's the main reason why they want to do that. But they won't be allowed to do that. That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have the non-intervention is no longer in force, right, Patty? Because Galactic Alliance is going to come in and make sure that it's not going to happen.
A lot of battle planets and everything, and a lot of ships up there on our side to nip it in the bud. And the worst comes to worst, I'll dissolve the stupid thing. So seriously,
I just want to say, Jean-Charles had to leave us, by the way. I just want to say, he left a bit earlier. He sent me a message. I think, Crystal, he contacted you as well, but I don't think anybody saw it. But he has left for probably the last half an hour or so.
No wonder we don't hear from him. Thank you so much,
Yes.
Sebastian. We are so heated up with the debate of a conversation here.
I'm back to say
Oh, there you are,
back, he's back.
Jean-Charles.
Thank
You're
you.
back. Yay.
thank you. I love you all, and
love
keep
you
the right frequency. And
Yes.
if you stay in your frequency, everything is possible. And the Draco, sorry, but they lost the battle.
Absolutely. So
We are
that's the
strong
message.
together. We are many strong. And like say my friend Sebastian, if you stay connected with the light, nothing can happen to you.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Almost
Okay.
immediately,
Yeah,
I want to
this
say
Draco-
you can get some help
this Draco
because
group is
Sebastian
rogue.
is conducting his workshop on the 8th of November, starting from the 8th, the first one, and the second one on the 15th, and then the third one
Yeah.
is on the 22nd, right, Sebastian?
Yeah, that's through terranovelis.com. People can see the details of that, and if all goes well, and we can do a physical workshop in December. I have a physical one-on-one workshop on December 7th, but I've canceled all of my physical workshops in November to do online seminars because I don't trust what's coming.
Mm-hmm. Well done. Physical is a bit difficult for light workers because these controllers always make sure we're in lab. Unfortunately, unless the Sarah and
Jean-Charles.
But Sean Charles, thank you so much. And go to Sean Charles' website. He has very bravely and generously produced his movies for us to see, and especially the scientific portion of our platform here. If you want to know more about the esoteric side of life, Sean Charles had offered it through his movies. Thank you so much, Sean Charles. I know
Thank you
you
to
have
receive
to
me.
go.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye, Charles.
Thank you.
Bye.
There was questions for him in the chat.
Yeah, Scott. Okay, Sean Charles, hang on. There's a question in the chat. Scott, will you read the chat? If you can't do it,
Sure, I'll read
please
it.
rest.
Charles, any updates on action on Mauna Kea, the Big Island volcano in Hawaii, the Ark ship, eternal omniversal ancestral celestial gratitude and blessings, supraliminal subliminal Mauna Loa.
Okay, I don't have an update right now, but the only update I had a few months, the Mauna Kea is connected with the inner Earth, with the portals. And under the island of Big Island, there is a many connection to the inner Earth, with the people inner Earth, Agartha. And the Mauna Kea is connected with the arc of Mount Fuji. That's just this I know about this. So I don't have an update right now.
So the movies Sean Charles produced are really true life experiences movies, okay?
Yes,
so go to his website, and because all the producers refuse his manuscript and refuse to address the sensitive topics about his life and extraterrestrial experiences, but he somehow managed to have the resources to produce his own indie production. Well done, brother. Oh, we're so proud of you.
Bye-bye,
yes,
everyone.
and Jean-Claude, Charles, could you please be connected to me, and then Crystal can give you my email, and then I'd love to have you on my show as a guest. And you can talk about your movie and everything.
Yes. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you. No problem. Bye-bye.
Oh, I love you all. Thank you so much. Yeah. So I think, Press, shall we wrap up? I think it's almost 2 hours now on this recording, isn't it?
Hey, I believe so. You all did a great job. I appreciate everybody here today, and including our speaking panel guest and all in attendance. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, I mean,
Fraz, I got a question for you. Fraz, I got a question for you.
Oh, sorry.
Is that a tennis ball helmet you had on your cat?
I have no idea. That was just a fun thing that I found, and it made me happy, so I used it as an icon.
Oh, Patty is a cat lover as well, I can tell.
Yes, we've got 2 cats here, plus from outside strays and supporting another population of another 5.
So one is Christine's, the other one is yours, huh?
But thank you for having me again. I appreciate the opportunity.
Oh, thank you, Sebastian. I know you have to rush back to the hospital. We won't keep you, brother.
That's okay.
And we love you. Thank you for all the work you do.
Thank you so much.
Oh, and thank you for being so brave to come out to tell the world what you see. Wow.
And Sebastian, please do come back on my show as you.
We have a date. We have a date, Carrie. You know that? We have a date.
Okay, good.
On that one.
Okay, thank you, everyone. I have to go now, so I
appreciate
appreciate
you, Carrie. We love you.
Thank you so much.
As always.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
you.
So there being no other business, this 142nd visit meeting is now adjourned to the 143rd on the 3rd of December. Thank you, everyone. We can stop record. Thank you, Patty. Thank you, Patty,
Yeah.
for getting you to jump in last minute. Oh, wow. What a cost for speakers. Thank you, everyone,
But I
brothers and
wanted to just
sisters.
set everybody, give everybody the full facts about what's going on with that stupid thing.
Aw.
And like I said, he was correct on the path. It's going to go through the point where Mars would be
Mhm.
if it hadn't been, slammed by the Pleiadians way back. And then it's going to end up going out to Ganymede because that's where all the meetings are. And there's going to be a massive argument. I can already see it.
Talking about Ganymede, Patty, I mean, we have Elena Danaan talking about Ganymede all the time. And then she
That's the
went
mean
on her spaceship. She said physically she had access to spacecraft.
Yeah.
And then she took off with, what's his name? This guy who took her to 3I Atlas. Of course, they don't land, it's route to land. They were hovering above 3I Atlas and they had communication. She went to Mars first to pick up Jen Han. So what's your take on that? What's going on? If that's the case, everyone will be visiting 3I Atlas, and then
the actual
what?
owner of that craft, the original actual owner, doesn't really want to talk to anybody. And that's why they opened the portal and made it perfectly clear that nobody's getting use of that craft, period. And what they were here for was to get their own people's souls back. But everybody else wants to, hijack the thing. It's just not going to be allowed to happen. None of them. Not the original group, not the Draco, not the Anunnaki, not the corporate group, which is one of running the spaceships outside and attacked and one of them got blown up. Nobody's getting it. And if we have to destroy the thing, fine. We can't do it when it's close in. Because to take that thing out, because it has a 0-point energy tap, it'd be dangerous. So we have to, or I have to open a portal, drop it through a portal, and then blow it up. Yeah, you can't just do it where it sits or anywhere near population, because that'd be too big of an explosion. So.
So
but then none of them are going to allow their agenda to go through. It's just we're not allowing it.
Well, anyway, Patty, just give a very uplifting, positive final words before we stop the recording, please. Short.
Please get in touch. Start using your third eye. Keep your frequency up. Send out of here. Because the sooner everybody gets out of here, the sooner this whole stupid stuff can be closed out.
And then you can also get out of here as the last one.
And then I can go. I'm tired.
I know. So are we. All of us are tired as well, Patty. Get us home quick. Anyway. Okay, so there being no other business, this meeting is adjourned to the next one, 143rd meeting on the 3rd of December. Thank you. We can stop recording now. Thank you.